Hi, this is Professor Santier. The purpose of this presentation is to help you to use your math textbook. The name of our book is Beginning and Intermediate Algebra by Julie Miller. We use the same book for the introductory algebra and the intermediate algebra courses here at NCC. This book has been customized for us so that we could embed pre-algebra materials at the beginning, followed by the original textbook. The entire book follows the same format. We start off our book with our table of contents, followed by the embedded chapters of pre-algebra material, followed then by the chapters of the original book. Every chapter is divided into sections, and every section is divided into concepts. The answers to many of the problems are in the back of the book. You see on the left here the beginning of chapter 1. Every chapter opening looks very similar to this, the name of the chapter, the number, but then you have the chapter outline. The chapter outline shows you the various sections within the chapter, and underneath the chapter outline is usually a little example, a real-life example of how the material of this chapter is being used. On the right side, you see section 1.1 fractions. Every section of our book is divided into concepts. This breaks up the material of that section into manageable pieces so that you can better work through them and absorb them a little bit more easily. Each of the sections of our chapters have the same features. The new concept is explained to you at the beginning of the section. The author of this book also teaches, so she's very aware of how to present the material in an easy to understand fashion. Following the explanation are worked examples with solutions. Usually a few problems are presented to you and you see step by step how to get the answers. Following the worked examples are more exercises called skill practice, and these are for you to try and see if you can match the answers that are usually found at the bottom of the page in the margin. Occasionally you're going to see a green box called tip. Green boxes are there to try to consolidate or further inform you about some piece of the concept being presented. Sometime you will see an orange box called avoiding mistakes. Because the author also teaches, she's very aware of common mistakes made by students, so these boxes are going to try to help you to avoid falling into the same mistake. After all the material is presented, you will find many practice exercises, and these can be used for homework or classwork or both. Some of the features that we just talked about are on this slide in front of you. Arrow number 1 shows you an example of a tip box. It's over in the margin. It has the green label on it, and this is summarizing a concept that was just presented to you. Arrows number 2, these are the worked examples done for you by the author, and after you see the problems, you see the solutions with the explanation of how to get the answers. Following that, you see the arrows marked number 3, skill practice. These are some problems for you to try, and the answers again are somewhere on the page, usually on the bottom in the margin. Arrow number 4 shows you an example of the avoiding mistakes box. This is a common mistake that is made by many students, so this box is there to try to help you avoid falling into making the same mistake. When we look at the practice exercises at the end of every section, there's many different categories of practice exercises. Some sections use all 6 of these, some use some. It all depends on the material in the section. Let's look at each one of them a little bit. So here we have section 2.2 practice exercises, and the first thing in this particular section you see study skills exercise. This is not mathematical necessarily. This is trying to help you to enhance your study skills as a student. Following that, arrow number 2, vocabulary and key concepts. Usually within the sections you will be offered new terminology. So these are fill in the blank, see if you can recall the new terms that you just learned and their definitions. Arrow number 3, review exercises. In most of our sections, we have review exercises, which are problems from previous sections to see if you remember how to do these things. Following along, at the top of this slide, you see concept 3. These are just some problems for you to work out from the third concept of this section. Once all the concept problems are given to you, then you see mixed exercises, which you can see here at arrow number 1. This is a grouping of a lot of problems from all the various concepts within this particular section. They are not identified by concept, so it is up to you to try to solve them and remember which concept it was and how to work these through. Arrow number 2, expanding your skills. Some of you really love challenges and you want to go beyond just what was required to be learned in the section and apply it to something more intense. Well, there you go, expanding your skills. Videos and animations. Some of the exercises within the practice exercises will have little symbols that are going to identify that there's a video or an animation associated with it. When you're in the ebook, then you can actually use these symbols. They will appear in the printed textbook. Use them in the ebook. Here we have an example. If you look at problem number 31, there's a little symbol in front of the 31. That symbol says if you're in the ebook, you can watch a video of how to solve number 31. But you notice that the second blue arrow, there's a symbol that says animation. Again, in the ebook, you can click on that and you can get an animated lecture of how to work through all of these problems. Just more to help you try to get through and learn the material. Every so often you're going to find a bunch of problems called problem recognition exercises, and this is going to be another grouping of problems from previous concepts, and hopefully you will be able to analyze the problem given to you and figure out where it came from and how to get the answers. Here's an example of it. So this one is on page 223. It's on adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing real numbers. And you notice that this is all signed numbers, positives and negatives, and a whole bunch of practice exercises. So it's a grouping of problems from different sections, because all 4 operations are not in one section, just to see if you can remember how to do these. And even if you look at numbers 11 and 12, you'll notice that this is also reviewing the concept of absolute value. Every so often throughout the book, you will see a blue box called Calculator Connections. These boxes offer you step-by-step instructions on how to enter certain problems on both a scientific and a graphing calculator. Let's take a look at one of those boxes. On page 206, you see a calculator connections box for the topic Operations with Signed Numbers on a Calculator. These boxes all start out with an explanation of keystrokes, followed by 1 or 2 problems that they will solve for you. Arrow number 1 shows you the steps needed to solve those problems using a scientific calculator. Arrow number 2, the same 2 problems are solved using a graphing calculator. then you have the opportunity, as you see in arrow 3, to do some calculator exercises to practice what you just saw. At the end of every chapter of our book, you will be offered many opportunities to further enhance your study of the material in these chapters. There are 5 main features that are listed here: the group activity, chapter summary, chapter review exercises, chapter tests, and cumulative review exercises. Let's look at each one of these briefly. On page 237, we see a group activity. These are provided to you to offer you the opportunity to work with your fellow classmates on concepts from within the chapter. You can help each other, you can learn from each other. Following the group activity, you will find the chapter summary. This is split up by section, and each section will summarize the key concepts in the column on the left, followed by, in the right column, examples for each of those key concepts. After the chapter summary, you will find the chapter review exercises. These are more problems that you can use to practice with, and they are also divided up by section. If you get stuck on one of the problems, you know what section to go back to see how they worked out the examples within that section. The next end of chapter resource is the chapter test. The chapter test is not split up by section. It is a group of problems that represent all the concepts from within the chapter, and you should at this point be able to answer these having just completed your chapter. The answers to all of these problems are in the back of the book. Starting at the end of chapter 2, you will always see cumulative review exercises. This is a group of problems representative of all the concepts we have covered so far in this book. If you were to work all these exercises out throughout the entire semester, you would be very well prepared for the final exam at the end of the course. I do want to point out the olive green box at the top of this slide. In there you see 662, which is a page number. Underneath it is a number 486, which is also a page number. When you're referring to the homework problems in the introductory algebra course, you need to refer to the page numbers in the olive green box, such as 662 on this particular page. At the end of the book, you will find the answers to many of the problems within the chapters. For the pre-algebra part of the book, the answers begin on page 1199. There you will find the answers to the odd-numbered practice exercise problems, as well as, for the chapter review, chapter tests, and cumulative review exercises, the answers to all the odd and even problems. The same format is followed for the original chapters of the book, but those answers begin on page 1232. Our math book comes with a piece of software supplied by the publisher called Connect Math. The website to get there is www.connectmath.com. You need an access code to be able to use it, and you also need to create for yourself a username and a password. Once you are logged into the software, if you click on Home, Resource, and Reference, you will see a tutorial entitled How to Do Assignments with Online Problems. This will show you the features of the software and how to work through getting the answers into the computer. What you see here is typical of what you will find whenever you are working through the homework problems in Connect Math. You see the blue box containing the number 1. That means you are working on the first problem of this particular assignment. Each number across the top is representing a different problem in the assignment. You can travel back and forth from the first problem to any problem within the assignment, either by clicking on the number, clicking on the next, clicking on previous or the arrows that are up there. Under the blue box, you also see question 1 of 25. This is telling you there are 25 problems in the assignment and you are on the first one. Over to the right, under the word next, you see 1.1 section exercise 43 to 50. This is telling you that this problem is coming from chapter 1, section 1, and if you look at the practice exercises, it is similar to a problem contained within problems 43 to 50 of that exercise set. Then you see the problem itself with the instructions. Over on the right hand side, check answer is what you click when you have typed in an answer and you want to find out if you got it right or wrong. Underneath is solve it. If you are stuck and you want the software to show you how to solve that particular problem, then click on solve it and it will tell you. Guided solution is a more step-by-step approach to solving the same problem for you. Show example will give you a problem very similar to the one that you were given, worked out for you. Underneath that is Ask My Instructor. If you're really stuck on a problem, you click on that and an email will go to your instructor telling them that you are stuck on a particular problem, and it will actually refer to which problem you are stuck on. What you do not see on this screen is another box more toward the bottom on the right, and it's a green box called Submit. When you have completed the assignment and you click Submit, then the grade is recorded, and when you look at yourself in your grade book, or your instructor looks at the grade book, it will have a grade for that assignment. If you work on problems but do not click Submit, then in the grade book it'll say In Progress. Until you actually submit the assignment, In Progress will always be visible. Even after you have submitted your answers and your assignment, usually you can go back and fix them to try to improve your grade. At the bottom of this box, even though you do not see it, are two features for printing either the problem itself or the entire assignment, with or without your answers. One thing you have to remember about working in software for math is only the answers are kept by the software. So if you have steps that you worked out to get those answers, keep them in a notebook so you can go back later and refer to them. We have a tutorial available that will guide you more through navigating the software, logging in, and actually how to use it. So if you copy and paste this into your browser, you will get into that tutorial. That's it. Thank you for your attention. Have a great semester and good luck in your math course.